Imagine, for a moment, a summer's day in Baltimore, 1996. The air is thick, humid, and you're a police officer, walking towards a desolate lot, towards a single-story trailer. The pavement is cracked. Weeds push through the concrete, reaching for the sky. But it's not the neglect that hits you first. It's the smell. A stale stench, heavy with decay, seeping from the door. You push it open, and what you see inside, what you process, it will haunt you for the rest of your life. On the floor, bones. Not animal bones, human bones. And then, the fridge. Plastic containers, neatly labeled, full of meat. More of the same in the freezer. This wasn't just a crime scene. It was a charnel house, a butcher's shop of unimaginable horror. And the man who lived there, 40-year-old Joseph Roy Metheny, 6 feet 1 inch tall, a colossal 450 pounds, and smiling, he didn't run. He didn't deny anything. In fact, he sat calmly in the interrogation room and told investigators, with a chilling nonchalance, "I killed them, cut them up, and some of them I ate. Tonight, we're going to peel back the layers of a monster you've likely never heard of. A man who wasn't just a killer, but a cannibal who fed human flesh to unsuspecting strangers. A story so depraved, so utterly unfathomable, it will make you question the very nature of evil." This is the story of Joseph Roy Metheny. To understand how such a monster came to be, we have to go back. Back to 1955, the year Joe Metheny was born. He entered a world that, frankly, didn't care if he disappeared. He grew up in a broken home in Essex, Maryland. His father, an alcoholic, died in a car crash when Joe was just 6 years old. His mother worked double shifts, just to keep the lights on, leaving Joe and his 5 siblings to fend for themselves. It was a childhood of neglect, of fending for oneself, of learning early that no one was coming to save you. By his teens, Joe was already drifting, angry, withdrawn, and, disturbingly, obsessed with violence. His mother, perhaps out of a desperate need to believe in something good, claimed he was smart and polite. But those who knew him, those close to him, saw the cracks early. He tortured animals, he picked fights, and most chillingly, he laughed at things that made other people shudder. The darkness was already there, festering, waiting for its moment. At 80, he joined the army. He claimed he served in Vietnam, that he saw combat, used heroin, and learned how to kill. He tried to paint himself as a hardened veteran, shaped by the crucible of war. But the truth was far less cinematic. Records show he never even left the US. The war he spoke of, the horrors he claimed to have witnessed, they were all in his head. And sadly, for the rest of the world, that war never ended. When he came home, the demons he'd nurtured within him only grew stronger. He started drinking heavily, got hooked on crack cocaine. He drifted between jobs. A trucker, a forklift driver, a laborer. People described him as strong, quiet, a hard worker. But behind that facade of ordinary life, Metheny was living a grim existence. He slept under bridges, in abandoned factories, and at night he roamed the streets like a predator, always watching, always waiting. By 1994, Metheny was living with a woman and had a young son. For a brief moment, it seemed like a semblance of normalcy. But then, one day, he came home to an empty house. No note, no warning, just emptiness. She had taken their child and vanished. The likely truth? She was escaping his spiraling drug use and violent rages. But Metheny didn't see it that way. He believed, with a burning, all-consuming delusion, that she had run off with another man. And that delusion, it festered into something far, far darker, a need for revenge, not just on her, but on every woman who reminded him of her. One night, fueled by that searing rage and the haze of crack cocaine, Metheny grabbed an axe, and he went looking. He wandered into a homeless encampment beneath a bridge in South Baltimore, a place where his girlfriend used to score drugs. He didn't find her. Instead, he found two men sleeping soundly under tarps. In a flash of brutal, indiscriminate violence, he hacked them to death while they slept. Then, as if disposing of rubbish, he tossed their bodies into the nearby river. Days later, a fisherman found pieces of them floating downstream. Metheny wasn't done. Not even close. The taste of control, the power over life and death, it had awakened something in him. He began to lure women to his trailer. His first documented victims in this chilling new phase were two sex workers, Catherine Magaziner and Kimberly Spicer. He promised them drugs. Once inside his desolate lair, he strangled them. Then, with a cold, methodical precision that defies belief, he dismembered their bodies, and he stored the meat in Tupperware containers. What he did next, it's almost impossible to process. He took the human flesh, he mixed it with pork and beef, and then he ground it all together. That's right. He ran a roadside barbecue stand, offering homemade burgers to truckers and locals, people who had absolutely no idea what they were really eating. Metheny later told police, with a grin that must have frozen their blood, they tasted just like pork. If you mix it right, no one can tell. He didn't just kill, he enjoyed it. The act of murdering, the dismembering, the cooking, it was all part of a grotesque ritual. He would sit on his trailer porch, smoking crack, drinking beer, grilling meat, all while human body parts decomposed in his fridge, just meters away. He confessed to police that he got a high from having that kind of control. Control over life, over death. It was easy, he told them. They came to me. I didn't even have to hunt. The sheer arrogance, the chilling detachment, is truly unfathomable. Despite his imposing size, remember, 450 pounds, Metheny was shockingly mobile. He could move quickly when he wanted to, and he possessed a kind of disarming calm. His co-workers described him as quiet, funny. They called him a gentle giant. No one, absolutely no one, suspected the truth, that this seemingly benign, quiet man was slaughtering women, feeding human flesh to strangers, and tossing bones into shallow graves behind his trailer. He was a monster hiding in plain sight, an unimaginable horror concealed by the mundane. But eventually, even the most disciplined monsters make mistakes. Eventually, Metheny's chilling arrogance caught up with him. In December of 1996, Metheny murdered Kimberly Spicer, and this time, he couldn't get rid of the body fast enough. The police were closing in. He tried to get a friend to help him bury her remains, a desperate attempt to cover his tracks. But this time, the friend did the unthinkable. He went to the police. When officers searched Metheny's trailer, the same trailer where he cooked his monstrous meals, they found it. Kimberly Spicer's body, stuffed under a tarp. They also found bloodstains, saws, knives, and those chilling plastic containers filled with what they believed to be mystery meat. The nightmare was finally over for the community. For Joseph Roy Metheny, it was just beginning. Once in custody, Metheny didn't hold back. In fact, he confessed to 8 murders. Though he claimed the real number was closer to 10 or more, he spoke of dismembering some victims while they were still alive. And through most of his interrogation, through the recounting of unspeakable acts, he smiled, a chilling, unrepentant grin. "The only thing I feel bad about," he said, with a shocking lack of empathy, "is that I didn't kill the bitch who took my son." That bitterness, that festering rage toward the woman who left him, that was the initial spark that ignited his horrific spree. But once it began, it stopped being about revenge. it became something else entirely. It became a game, a hunt. He also said something else, something truly terrifying. I got away with the first few, he boasted. I only got caught because I was getting lazy. A chilling admission that his capture was not due to clever detective work, but simply his own growing complacency. In court, Metheny's attorneys tried to paint a picture of a broken man. They tried to blame his monstrous crimes on drug addiction and childhood trauma. But the jury saw through it. They knew his actions weren't random. They were calculated, efficient, and brutally, undeniably evil. In 1998, Joseph Roy Metheny was sentenced to death. That sentence was later commuted to life without parole. And in 2017, at the age of 62, he died in prison. He was found dead in his cell. No signs of trauma. Just gone. Quiet, like slipping away in his sleep. To this day, the full number of his victims remains unknown. Some remains were never recovered. Some names were never revealed. He claimed to have dumped bodies in rivers, in landfills, even in dumpsters behind fast food restaurants. The depths of his depravity, the true scale of his crimes, may never fully come to light. But one question, perhaps the most disturbing of all, still lingers. A question that haunts anyone who hears this story, that chills you to your core. How many people, unknowingly, ate from his roadside grill? How many innocent locals and weary truckers, on a warm Baltimore afternoon, sat down to a homemade burger, thinking it was just pork, thinking it was just another meal, when in reality, they were eating the flesh of Joseph Roy Metheny's victims. The quiet ones. The ones who smile. Sometimes they hold the darkest secrets. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Did you know about Joseph Roy Metheny? What's the most disturbing part of this case to you? Like this video if you want to see more stories that make you question everything, and subscribe to join our community. I'll see you in the next one.